Why does taking risks, whether it's a small financial risk or it's a small social risk or it's a small physical risk, small intellectual risk to put yourself out there, why does that create luck?
Oftentimes it's because you get yourself out of your comfort zone. There's such great examples. Let me tell you a story that sort of encapsulates a number of these principles. There was a young man who reached out to me a few months ago. Maybe it's about a year ago. This young man, his name is Oliver. And he reached out to me after he watched my TED Talk on luck. And he said, you know what? I really resonate with all of this. And I want to become a luck coach.
Okay.
I said, a luck coach? That sounds like a great idea. And he said, could I just have 5 minutes of your time? I just want to talk to you. And I said, I would be delighted. So I set up a time to talk to him and we had a really nice chat.
Now, by the way, you could either look at that one moment and say, well, he was really lucky that you said yes. He was really lucky that it was you and not some curmudgeon professor. But I think your point is, if he hadn't taken the risk to ask for the meeting, it never would have happened.
Of course.
And so he's creating the luck just to kind of get you to understand. Because most people think, oh, I should reach out to Tina. And then you go, but she's so busy and she's not going to have time. And I don't want to be a burden. And what do I actually say with the email? And da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So you talk yourself out of doing the thing that could actually create the luck that you want.
Exactly. And it could have been that I didn't respond.
Yes.
Right? Because there are so many examples where you have to send a letter to 500 people before you end up getting a couple people who respond to you.
Of course.
But here's the thing. I did respond. I was intrigued. I had just started working on this book. And I said, oh, that's interesting. A luck coach. Let me find out what he's doing. And he told me, and I spent literally 5-10 minutes on the phone with him. And this is important. He asked for a 5-minute favor. A very small thing that was going to be an easy thing. He made himself easy to help. Just 5 minutes of your time. So afterwards, what did he do? He sent me a thank you note. Now, do you know how many people do not send thank you notes? It is the most amazing thing when someone does something for you. It is a huge missed opportunity if you do not send a thank you note. So he did the right thing. He sent a thank you note, but he didn't stop there. He sent me a long list. He sent me a document with all these ways he could help me. He said, I understand, you're writing a book on luck. Here are different ways I can help you. I was so intrigued. Now, nothing that he listed was exactly what I wanted, but I thought, oh, this guy, he really took the initiative here. And I hired him as a research assistant for the book. Now, I had never, ever used a research assistant for any of my books, ever. So but I thought, I think he might be able to help me. So I hired him as a research assistant. Over the next months, I got to know him in our calls. There's a whole chapter in the book about him. Now, this all started with him asking for a 5-minute favor.
I love the thank you note example. Do you know what I love about the way you're teaching us this is the risk assessment that you do on yourself reveals the things that you value and how your actions are probably holding you back. And that's a core part of really building the sailboat of who you are. And the second part was the crew. So how do you build the crew?
Exactly. So asking for what you want, but also helping other people. The more you help other people, it comes back in wave upon wave upon wave. It's really important to understand that the more you give to other people, the more comes back to you. And I can tell you so many examples because when I talk to people about what makes them lucky, you start realizing that one of their key characteristics is their generosity. Their generosity to others. How can I help you? How can I help you? Seeing someone as a problem and helping them. It comes back. Oftentimes, when you help somebody in a little way, it was so meaningful. You might even have forgotten you did it. The resulting feedback you get, the resulting impact is so much more.
Why does helping other people make you luckier?
Because so few people do it. So many people are just, thinking about themselves. I have a great example of a fellow named Nir Ayal, who, when he was younger, he was selling solar panels, and he was going door to door to door, selling solar panels. And there were so many people who didn't really want solar panels, and they go, but I do want to save energy. I'm looking for a heat pump. Well, he noticed that someone else in the neighborhood was putting in the heat pumps. He didn't know this guy at all. But he said, I saw this other guy is putting in heat pumps, doing a really good job, and started recommending him. Well, this guy found out, said, wow, you're recommending me. I don't even know who you are. He said, well, I saw you were doing a good job on heat pumps. And guess what? This guy started recommending him for solar panels. And his business boomed. And it came from just being generous in recommending someone else.
Do you have another example, Tina, of something that I could do today that would also help me experience this?
There's so many things you can do to show appreciation to others. One of the biggest gifts you can give someone is to introduce them to someone else. And the warmer and the more positive the introduction, the more powerful it is as a gift. It's one of the things that we so often miss that opportunity. But when you introduce someone to someone else in a really warm and wonderful way, you've not only created a great opportunity for them, but I can promise you it comes back to you in many ways because people are so incredibly grateful to have had that generous introduction.
Another thing that I just thought of, and you'll have to tell me if this is an example, is if I'm standing in a line or if I'm ordering coffee at a coffee shop, I always compliment something that the person's wearing or their nails or their haircut or their smile. And it always opens up both this positive energy exchange.
I agree with you totally. In fact, I think it's one of the best things you can do is say, I love that color on you, or wow, your haircut. Did you get a cut? And honestly,
well, I mean, even with strangers, I'm like, I love your nails, or you have the best smile, and people just light up.
I agree with you, but it should be authentic. It's not that you're doing it to be manipulative.
No.
It's really, you do love their nails.
Of course.
Or their haircut.
Of
or
course.
the purple sweater.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
But I also I experience something coming alive and the energy shifting with a stranger while I'm standing in line. And I feel that just that simple thing, try it today. If you're standing in a line, see something authentically about the person in front of you or behind you and give them a compliment. And if you make this a habit, you'll start to have the doors of luck open up for you. Before I had a podcast and I was depressed in a new town and I had no friends, I forced myself to stir the pot because I realized after 6 months of sitting alone as a 53-year-old woman with no friends in the middle of nowhere because we've just moved, for living somewhere for 26 years, feeling sorry for myself. Funny, that didn't make friends fall out of the sky, but I still licked my wounds and felt sorry for myself. And I'm so unlucky because now I've moved and I don't have friends. I started changing my luck by forcing myself to get out of the house and going to a coffee shop, complimenting the person making the coffee, making myself remember their name, going back the next day, saying their name, complimenting something else, making small talk, one move day after day after day. And slowly I made my own luck. I met friends. I built a community. I now walk into that coffee shop. I probably get more free croissants than anybody else because, not that I'm lucky, I created the opportunity for what I actually wanted, which was community and friendship. What is the third thing that we need to do to catch the winds of luck?
Great. So the first was building your ship, right?
Yes.
This is all the internal stuff and the internal things like your values, the story you tell about yourself, your risk profile, your goals. Then the second part is recruiting your crew. Right? I like to say luck seldom sails solo, right? Luck usually comes as a result of your engagement with other people. And so this is asking for what you want, helping others, showing appreciation, all sorts of things that allow you to build your team. The third is based on the quote that we hear all the time: the harder I work, the luckier I get. Have you ever heard that?
Of course.
Of course.
It's true.
Okay. But there's a missing part there. Just as fortune favors a prepared mind, you need to know what a prepared mind is. The harder I work, the luckier I get. You need to know what that hard work is.
That's true.
Okay. You need to know what it is. It's easy to say that. I have had a debate for decades with my father about this.
Actually, I agree, because I've worked very hard spinning in place. So I'm excited for you to unpack that there's a certain type of hard work.
There's so much you can do. And so much has to do with taking some risks, stirring the pot, introducing yourself to the person standing next to you in line for coffee, stretching beyond your comfort zone.
One of the other ones that I loved is that you need to, quote, capture luck, that luck favors those who ask questions. Why does asking questions increase your chance for luck?
Great.
It's chapter 14 of your book.
One of the biggest tools we have for capturing luck is being curious. And boy, you are so curious, right?
Really am.
And it really leads to a lot of luck because you ask lots of questions. And the more questions you ask, the more curious you are, the more you learn. I always like to tell my students that before something's your passion, it's something you know nothing about. And this is really important. People want to sit around and say, oh, I need to find my passions. Well, what a crazy thing. Go out and do things. Be curious. Try lots of things. Keep what works. The more curious you can be, the more questions you can ask, and the better listener you are. The better the more you meet people and listen and learn from them, you are going to walk away with things that you never knew before and opportunities that will present themselves that you never even imagined.
Well, I love that we keep coming back to this framework that's reminding me, and I'm sure it's reminding you as you're listening or watching, that this research and this framework that you're teaching us about luck and becoming a luckier person is really about intentionally making decisions to put yourself in a position to have the things that you want. Because I think, common sense tells you if you want to meet the love of your life, you're probably not going to do it sitting alone on your couch, binge watching television.
Exactly.
And yet, and then you can sit there and just, well, I'm just really unlucky in love and I've just met the wrong people and na. That may be true about your past, but that doesn't have to be true about your future. And there are specific things that you're teaching us to do that can make you one of the lucky ones to meet that person at the bar in your pajamas, but it's going to require something of you.
Exactly. We each have more agency than we may think. And there are so many levers at our disposal. There are like 20 different things you can do every single day, whether it's, asking for what you want, helping others, showing appreciation, taking some risks, learning to be more resilient, on and on and on, right? Resolving conflicts. But there's something very, very important to keep in mind. Luck is a long game. Luck is like investing money. You start out putting little deposits and it compounds over time. You need to trust the process, that the more deposits you make by doing these things that increase the possibility of good things happening, that they do. But I see people all the time walk right by opportunities. This is why I wrote this book, is because I see so many people. It's like they're gold coins sitting there and I see them walk by it. You have to have a mindset that there's a prize in every room. It's up to you to find it.
Yes.
And with that mindset, you find it. It's like the $5 project, right? Not everybody is sitting there saying I should set up a bike tire pressure monitor in the middle of campus. But once you were given the challenge, create some value, people did.
Of all the tools that you're sharing, which as you're listening, and you're probably just like me, as you're listening to Tina, Dr. Seelig talk, you're probably like, okay, I could take a risk. I could see, I get it. I see how, like, sitting back, staying silent, hoping somebody finds me, not asking for what I want, not stirring the pot, not getting out of my house. I can see how I need to shift things. But if you're listening and you're feeling skeptical, maybe you're feeling a little beaten up by life, what do you want the person to know about how this truly makes a difference over time?
Yes. It is critically important to realize that the choices you make today determine the choices you are going to have in the future.
If somebody feels really unlucky right now, what's the first thing they should do this week?
I would say, if you were going to pick one thing,
yes,
do something to stir the soup. Do something to add something new to your life. Remember, we are all one decision away from a completely different life. Apply for the job, introduce yourself to the person in line, do something to stir the soup, to open the door to something new.
Dr. Tina Seelig, what are your parting words?
I wish everyone the very, very best of luck. Mm-hmm. And I know that the choices you make today are going to be reflected over and over again in waves and waves of good luck into the future.
Thank you so much for being here. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm so grateful you're doing all this research for all of us. And there's no doubt in my mind that if you apply this, you will be luckier.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And I also want to thank you. And I want to point something out. And I bet that Tina is going to say, Mel, that's right. The fact that you hit play on this episode, especially if somebody shared this episode with you, the fact that you stirred the pot in your own life, you took a risk and hit play, and you spent time watching or listening all the way to the end is an example of what you are talking about, Tina, that you took an action aligned with something that you want, which is you do want to be luckier in life. You do want life to break in your direction. You do want to open up the sail and capture the winds of opportunity. And I'm grateful that you spent the time listening and watching something that is really going to help you do that. And in case no one else tells you today, I wanted to be sure to tell you as your friend that I love you and I believe in you and I believe in your ability to create a better life. And if you follow the formula that Dr. Seelig shared with us today, there's no doubt in my mind that you will create a better life because you're going to be a lot luckier because you will have created it. All right. I will see you in the very next episode. I'll welcome you in the moment you hit play. And thank you for watching all the way to the end. Didn't you love this? I hope you're generous sharing this episode with people that you love so that they can learn all of this research and apply it to their life to create more luck. We all deserve that. And one more thing I wanted to ask you, if that subscribe button is lit up, would you please subscribe? It is free. It is the number one way that you can tell me and the team here at the Mel Robbins podcast that you love what we are doing. Remember, Dr. Seelig said, you got to ask for what you want. So I'm asking you for what I want. I want you to be a subscriber. That way you don't miss a thing. And it's how we know that you are loving all of the world-renowned experts that we bring you here on YouTube. Alrighty. I know you're thinking, thank you, by the way, for doing that. Mel, what's the next video I should watch? I'm loving this. You definitely want to check out this one. And I will welcome you in the moment you hit play.